Cream of Manchester podcast drops every Thursday without fail until that fails. Yesterday, that was because we didn't plan an episode properly and then I had a nap. Nobody that we know who's in Helsinki for the friendly would go on camera just for 2 minutes, even when we pushed it back to Friday. So, you're about to listen to four people who've not even gone to Finland go on about pre-seasons, squad ins and outs, and to start with, Argentina. So, James, you've been there. Do you want them to win the World Cup?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think the scenes if Argentina won the World Cup would be a lot more than in Spain. And having spoken to Argentines during the week, they're absolutely ecstatic at beating England. So I want them to win now.
You won't be. There might not be too many people in this country who agree with you.
Well, sadly not. I mean, it's quite funny. I watched the game in a pub on Wednesday, and the bloke behind the bar was Welsh, and he was telling me secretly in the Welsh language when there was a goal and there was a delay on one of the screens in the other room. So he'd already seen the goal before the other side of the pub had, and he was telling me in Welsh what was happening. And it was very amusing.
James Bach, Scorio, Sazen, whatever it is. What is it? Loiger? Is that the word? Oh. There you go. Will, you're in a big group of season ticket holders, aren't you? So has the WhatsApp group collectively decided to sing Argentina louder than usual next season?
No, it's not. I think the initial reaction wasn't great. I'll be honest, but I think that was probably just football fans being reactionary. I'm sure Martinez will be welcome back as they usually are afterwards anyway.
So what do you mean then? Because this is a bit of a rift, isn't it, within United fans? What would you be meaning by that?
Well, I just think it's football fans losing and then they don't want that team to win, do they? I mean, it was more just like the reaction after the game. The banner probably didn't help many of them. And I just don't think it went down very well. The personalities a lot of them have aren't necessarily appealing when they beat us either. So I think it's sort of just a reactionary anger to how they behave, really.
So, Murph, is that a generational thing or a political thing? Because I've seen one or two Facebook Reds upset at Martinez, but now your generation would have fought over the Falklands War, of course, so we have to be careful about that. But are you sympathetic to the idea that Argentina should be expelled from the World Cup for holding up a flag and all their players spat at by relatives of Captain Sir Tom Moore?
Sir Tom Moore, but as opposed to Will Moore. Well, I do remember the Falklands War. I was actually 9 years old, but thanks for thinking I was older there, mate. Yeah, when the Falklands War went off, it was a very emotive thing at the time. I remember Ozzy Aldinas had to leave the country when he was the Tottenham Hotspur player at the time, went to play for Paris Saint-Germain. And I remember Argentine players just before, the Falklands War was on, when United played Tottenham at Old Trafford, they were being booed by the crowd for being Argentinian. A lot of people forget that, but that was going on at the time. It was quite a hot thing at the time. Obviously, in 1998, there was a big reaction to the sending off of David Beckham, and United fans formed a siege mentality around it, and you could stick your fucking England up your arse. That was going on at the time, particularly against West Ham and Leicester. But now, I mean, I'm not on Facebook anymore, thank Christ. But I've not seen anything. I've not seen what you've seen. But I think the loss the other night would have been felt more keenly amongst a lot of people in my age group who are United fans than would have been amongst James or Will's. It hurt a few people, and Argentina. They're not the most graceful of winners anyway. I mean, I remember the 1986 game and 1998 where they were quite. They were happy to rub the noses of the England players in it at the time, and it seems like it's happened the other night. As to the Malvinas flag, well, England fans have no problem singing about wars, so I don't see why they should get too upset about the Malvinas flag.
I don't know if you caught any of that from Murph, because it's saying you're 58% uploaded, and to us it sounded very bitty. I got the gist of it, but I think by the time this goes out it might be alright, because it's probably just the broadband your end and it'll upload afterwards. Bit of a peek there behind the wizard's sleeve for anyone who cares, but what I'm going to suggest is, while I move on, is if you just make sure that all your tabs are closed, Murph, nothing else is going on broadband wise, like if your wife's on Call of Duty or something like that, just make sure that it's no doubt representing the British in the South Atlantic. If you've got an opinion on this, what Murph was alluding to there was obviously the post Beckham thing, which for people who came of age as Reds as I did, was one of the most entertaining times ever. seeing people at Forest and West Ham and Portsmouth and Leicester getting extremely wound up about United fans' anti-England shenanigans. And times have changed, I think it's fair to say. So let us know what you think. Drop it in the comments as well, or you can email us creamofmanchester1878@gmail.com. We're especially interested as well to hear if you've been caught up in United's latest crackdown on legacy fans, which seems to involve banning people who've not been using the app and the website in the way that their AI is predicting. So, at risk of sounding like a Dalek again, Murph, what do you think about this?
Well, I mean, I think it's just yet another disgusting attack by the club on fans. They seem to go out of the way to antagonise loyal, long-standing fans under the veneer. It's always under the veneer of going after the ticket touts. Now, apart from the fact United, it's no doubt United want to get rid of the ticket touts. They want to become the touts themselves. The enthusiasm for dynamic pricing shows that. But I mean, what's been going on here is that they've been imposing sanctions on fans, mostly in regards to how they can apply for away tickets, on what seemingly spurious grounds, as you just said, on bot activity or suspected bot activity. If I've understood it right, they're not sharing any of this data with the people who made the accusation against. So while some United fans are being told to provide evidence that they've not been doing any suspicious activity, well, they don't actually. When you make an accusation against somebody, the person who's the accusation been made against, so it's hard to see what the evidence is against them. United not providing that, and it seems to be just. I mean, United's customer service ethics seems to be something between Basil Fawlty and Ryanair, and this is the latest one, and it's absolutely disgusting what's going on. And I'm trying to work out what the agenda is behind it, apart from antagonising long-term loyal fans. That they're just making spurious allegations against people who are long-term season ticket holders.
Yeah, maybe they just want fewer season tickets, which we discussed, I think, before.
We've robbed a few weeks back, yeah.
On the pitch, what shape are United going into this season, Will? What more do they need?
I think probably an athletic midfielder is probably the number one on the priority list. I think a lot of fans have identified that anyway. I think Andre Santos is a bit of an unknown, really, and he may be that player. We don't really know too much about him. He didn't really play that much for Chelsea, and obviously Tielemans has had his moments athletically. So I think realistically, you're looking at someone who can sort of be what Agate was supposed to be, and fill that void.
Let's do it now. Should Marcus Rashford be reintegrated, Murph? He seems to be making overtures to do just that. Does it fill you with joy?
I've no personal disdain for Marcus Rashford. I think he has been. That's the crucial thing. Has been a great player for United, but some players are finished at the age of 27, 28, and I think Rashford is. Well, City's seen his best days by 28. I think Rashford's one of them. I was looking at some of the David Ornstein yesterday in the Athletic, where they had a £40 million clause, where there's a £40 million transfer clause where any other club apart from City, Liverpool, can activate it and buy him. Nobody's come after him. Nobody's took up the clause, and £40 million for a high caliber player in this day and age is bugger all. But you got likes of Newcastle United, who sold Princess Diana to Barcelona to replace Rashford this summer. They can't sign anybody. I mean, they're like drunks in a nightclub at 1:30 in, and they have not even name coming from Marcus Rashford.
I really hope that this isn't as shit as it sounds to us, because that's quite clippable. What do you think, James? Because they seem to be after a left back, which is based on basically Shaw cannot play surely all the games again, and it's whether or not you think Dalot and Mazraoui can play a left back as well, because they definitely don't seem to think Pat Dogu is a left back, right? So they need that, and they seem, if Rashford is not going to be reintegrated, to be going after Somerville, which, like you say, like Will said there, is after a left winger, and they surely need something else up top, don't they? Or will they just use the likes of Mbermo and Cunha and Rashford as like the backup striker when Šeško doesn't play?
Well, I think it's difficult for them to go out and sign 7 or 8 players in one transfer window, and I think that's what a lot of fans don't seem to understand, that, to sign a football player, it's not like FIFA or Football Manager or a computer game where it just happens overnight. And
why not?
And also, the other thing is, United will have to sell some players as well to bring people in. So it's not that straightforward as just, buying a new squad. And I actually don't think, I mean, fullback aside, obviously a couple of midfielders have been brought in and maybe a striker. The current squad isn't that far off. I mean, they've got Champions League football last season. Carrick managed to turn it around. I don't think Amorim, for all of his faults, this recruitment was that poor actually last summer. So I think it's I don't think it's as far away as people think.
Krauf, Poborski, Solskjaer, Jonsson, probably Van der Kow, I can't remember. That was like the United signed 5 one summer. Why can't the transfer virgins have 5 again now? What have you got against them? Why are you ruining the summer for them with this stuff about FIFA and Football Manager not being realistic?
Well, it's just dull, isn't it? The whole process. I don't enjoy transfer season at all, really, especially when the club also are doing things in the background without all those fans knowing, which is the irony. I mean, everyone was talking about signing midfielder, and the Tielemans deal supposedly came from nowhere, which actually fills me with a bit of confidence that the club actually know what they're doing in that department because that would happen pretty fast.
All right, so the pre-season's upon us. Wrexham this weekend, and James, you like a pre-season, but Scandinavia's not on the itinerary.
Well, I've just come back from Mexico, so I don't think Scandinavia would be. I don't think work would particularly like the fact I've been going away for a month that I'd be doing it again.
So, I've got this picture of you. Let's see if I can drag it up this was in where, Perth or somewhere.
Perth. It was in Perth.
This is a snap from the club's website. So that's you in the womb, live from Perth. That I think we can all see. What's the story there?
Well, oh, I'd been out the night before with a journalist who kind of took me under his wing for a bit. Basically, I was told that they weren't going to film the press conference, or the journalists, not that they weren't going to film the press conference, but they weren't going to film the journalist asking questions. So it wasn't going to be a problem if we showed up in the state that we were in. To my lot, it just so happened that they streamed the entire press conference to millions of people around the world and then filmed the journalist asking the questions. And you can tell that I'm not in the best state after 2 hours sleep the previous night.
What do you like about them, pre-seasons? Because some people, they'd be the worst idea of a holiday, and other people I know, they really make a holiday out of it.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the football's the kind of least important part of it, really. It was an excuse to travel for me. I mean, Thailand, I never went to before, always wanted to visit. And it was just like almost a joke added on of like, shall we see United in Bangkok, you know? I mean, it was a bit of a joke, really. And then also, some of the stadiums to tick off as well that United are probably never going to play in again. I mean, I saw them play 2 games at the MCG, which is an amazing ground. And realistically, outside of a pre-season tour, they're never going to play at the MCG.
Don't skirt away from Bangkok so quickly. Tell me about the ladyboys.
There was a lot of them. They drag you off the street and try and take you away into brothels and stuff. It was crazy.
So, James, the obvious question is, how did you know they were ladyboys? This is the obvious question.
I didn't quite catch them, sorry.
He said, how did you know they were ladyboys?
Well, because they've got deep voices.
Oh.
They sound like blokes.
But so has Rula Lenska.
No, but, you can tell.
One for the teenagers. All right. Any other business, gents?
Thailand.
Well,
Certainly to Australia, actually.
Go on.
I was going to say, it's interesting. The fans inside the stadium didn't really have a clue what was going on, but all the Aussies obviously were much more into United and could speak to you about the matches and stuff and, knew all the chants, whereas United versus Liverpool in Bangkok, I saw people that had not half and half scarves on, but a half and half shirts, one half United, the other half Liverpool, and were just clueless.
Oh, my God. And wearing thongs, no doubt. Which is a very different thing in Thailand from Australia. Right, Murph?
Yeah, indeed it is. It's a pair of flip-flops in Australia, as I found
There
it.
we are.
Yeah, I remember that vividly, yeah.
Is Durex sellotape over there as well?
I've no idea what they call Johnny bags over there.
They
No,
call
no, no. I think
Manchester is bedding.
cottons. Yeah, beddings. Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Bet
that's
you
right.
remember.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
See, you walk out like Melbourne or Sydney, and you see the word Manchester above shops, and I mean, you
Yeah.
actually mean that it is actually says it's bedding and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. There we are. You're finding out things you don't find on other football podcasts here, aren't you, really? And to say that it was just a token episode, that's all right. We did one. YouTube, your algorithm is fulfilled. Please like and subscribe to help us grow. The trams are off, aren't they? So for 3 weeks round here anyway. So I would just say, I don't know, what shall we say instead of mind the trams? Mind the roadworks. Goodbye.